I know my chance with her is blown, but my mouth gets carried away. I'm tongue-tied, tongue-tied, tongue-tied.
What up, IDS Mob? HarryWilmington here. And today's show, we're talking about women's sliding scale of attraction versus men's light switch of attraction. I did a video recently called Why Women Choose No Value Guys versus Thoughtful Guys. And in that video, I was basically talking about how ultimately, if you are not giving women the things that they actually value in a relationship, like protection, provision, leadership, etc., then no amount of being thoughtful is going to make her attracted to you, because being thoughtful is being nice and using flowery language, and that's all feminine energy, and that's not going to make them feel safe or feel like you're going to be the leader of the relationship. So I did a whole video about that, and I got a couple responses that made me realize just how black and white men are oftentimes in their thinking about just things in general, but especially as it pertains to dating. So we're gonna get into that. By the way, guys, this show is about you. So if you have any questions you'd like me to answer, write me at HarryWilmington@gmail.com or leave a comment down below. Also, if you want one-on-one coaching, go to the website, introvertdatingsuccess.com, and click on the coaching tab, all right? So let's get into these two comments that I talked about, right? So the first one is this one. This guy responded, he said, she is either attracted to you or she's not. Choose a woman that's attracted to you. And then the second response, which is a lot longer, said, thanks for not wasting everyone's, he's agreeing with the previous guy. And he says, thanks for not wasting everyone's time like this clown. That's me, I'm the clown. He says, a leopard can't change his spots, so I never see the point. You're gay or you're not. You're a simp or you're not. You're a dominant alpha or you're a beta nerd destined to be cheated on. People don't and cannot change. The mere awareness or idea that you have to makes it immediately fake and something you're not, which has zero appeal. And yes, it's easy to tell. Hence, the previous guy's reply is the only angle worth much here. You can't will yourself to be attractive to women. You might pull it off on the day, but it won't last 5 minutes afterward. So they shouldn't waste our time or their own. It's okay to be a loser if that's your lot in life. Too bad. And first I want to say, sometimes now that I'm a bit older, I'm 41, I forget that back in my late teens and early 20s, I too very much had bitterness towards the dating game and oftentimes towards women in general. And a lot of that was just because I didn't understand how they worked. Like in hindsight, I could see how, I didn't really understand why they were attracted to the type of men that they were. I didn't understand the psychology of women's choices and, because they're feelings based when they're making these choices, how what I'm making them feel better determines if they're going to choose me versus the logical negotiations I would try to make a woman realize that she should like me, And so I had a lot of bitterness and resentment back then. And so I wrote a whole book called No Girls For You, because I talk about all the things I was doing to try to get women that didn't actually work. In hindsight, it's funny, which is why I wrote a comedic book about it and have an album coming out called No Girls For You with my friend Nan Juan on February 10th. But the point is that, sometimes I look back and realize that because I had that bitterness of women and dating in general, that my viewpoint of life was askewed. And I had some of these similar thoughts about how she either likes you or she doesn't. And I mentioned on the show before how women, bottom line, either they like you or they don't. And that is very, very true. But I think maybe in saying that, I forgot to mention the small detail of that. When the woman first meets you, there's not going to be an automatic, oh, I like this guy, or oh, I don't like this guy. That can happen, but what I find is that, with men, it's very easy. We're very visual. So it's like, if we like the way the woman looks, it's going to be a quick yes or no. Either I like her because she's really hot, or I don't like her because I don't find her that hot. And so as men, we make our decisions a lot of times in that realm. And so our thought decisions on things is very black and white. Either I like it or I don't. Either I want it or I don't. And this is the problem with projecting the way in which you process things onto another person, because your assumption can start to be, well, since I think and process things like this, then this is how women also do it. So if I meet a woman, I know right away if I like her or not. And we've heard the whole thing of, well, if a woman sees you and meets you and talks to you, she can tell within 10 to 15 seconds if she would sleep with you. But that doesn't take into account how women actually process getting to a full level of like. This is why I talk about percentages on the show. The late, great Doc Love introduced the concept of interest level and a woman's interest level being a sliding scale. So when a woman first meets you, how much she likes you when she first meets you versus how much she likes you when she gets to know you versus how much she likes you when she spent a lot of time with you and is starting to really have strong feelings for you are all drastically different. Because let's say you meet a woman on a dating app, right? Well, aside from the visual part and maybe a little bit of rapport back and forth on messaging, she hasn't actually really gotten to know you. But you might get her to like you just enough to agree to an in-person date. So that first date, when she first goes on it with you, she's starting at a baseline, we'll say like 60% interest. Basically, she's saying, I like your looks enough. We had a pretty good talking conversation. So I'm now interested just enough to see if this could be more. But that doesn't mean she's fully there yet. And so when you go on the date, you're talking to her on the date, you're making her laugh, you're, trading stories, and she's getting to see your personality. Maybe wear some cologne that smells really good so she's starting to smell you and like how you smell, and these other tactile things. By the end of that first date, her interest could have increased now from 60% to say like 68%. But that's not a full-on like. And that's why I say in terms of the percentage stuff, ideally you want a woman that likes you like where her interest in you is like 85 to 90%. Those are the levels of like to whereby you're basically gonna do no wrong. Like she's gonna be calling you up and trying to, get you to go on dates with her, and she's gonna be more receptive to hooking up with you on a consistent basis. And then because if you look at women's interest as a sliding scale, you can also tell at times when she's mad at you because she'll maybe pull away a little bit, or she'll maybe not hook up with you as much, or she'll start getting shorter in her answers, and that doesn't on text, and that doesn't mean that she doesn't like you now or that you're out, but it could mean you did something whereby the scale slid from say 75% back down to like 65%, But I point this out because this runs against the way men think, which is black and white. Either she's liking me or she's not. If I do something wrong and she walks away, it must mean that she's gonna try to be gone forever. And we don't think about like, for women, it doesn't work that way. Because they're feelings based, their feelings for you are going to continually scale back and forth depending on what's going on that day. If they're, if it's that time of the month, if they got stress going on at their job, if they have family issues going on, if you two are in some kind of fight or quarrel, or the opposite, if you've just been a really great boyfriend or husband to her, if you've been able to, be there for her when she needed to talk about something and really listen to her and comprehend what she's actually saying, like those things can cause her interest to also rise back up. And so ideally, if you're good at knowing how women function and operate, you'll be able to keep their interest somewhere in the 80 to 90s range on a more consistent basis. But I say this because these guys that are saying, well, either she likes you or you're not, and choose a woman that's attracted to you, you're not taking into account the fact that, when you first meet her, she might be attracted to you, but there's a chance that it could drop off if you're saying or doing the wrong things. And so women's interests are gonna constantly be like this. It's not like a guy's where it's like, if we like the way a woman looks, she could trash us, she could be talking about her family, she could be not showing up on dates and be flaky, and the response will be, how do I make this work? She's too hot, I gotta make this work. I have so many people that DM me or write me messages saying, this woman's doing all these signs that indicate she doesn't like me, but I like her, how do I make it work? Because the like's not gonna turn off, there's no sliding scale there. But women, if you start doing some stuff, it'll be like, I'm just not really feeling him right now for some reason, or, oh, I feel myself starting to want to pull away, or he did this really great thing and I just want to be around him all the time. But it's a sliding scale, it's going back and forth. And so as a guy, you got to know that the way women are interested in you and the level of interest they have is different. Our interest tends to stay really, really high unless they just absolutely mess up. Then it's like, it goes from like, I really, really like her to like, I'm out of here. And that's why sometimes guys will be like, oh my gosh, she broke up with me, I don't know what happened, it just seems so sudden. But if you were paying attention, she had a high interest at some point, and then over the months, you started doing stuff that made her kind of like, the interest dip bit by bit to where 6 months down the line, she's dumping you. It seems sudden to you, but along the way, she was giving all these signals that indicated, hey, my interest is starting to lower a little bit. I'm telling you this now, so you have time to do something to bring it back up. And guys weren't doing that. But yeah, so I say this because I need you guys to be mindful of the fact that men process things differently. We're very much black and white thinkers. Either something is or it isn't. And women very much don't live in that world, which is actually a good thing because you got to think about there's going to be so many mistakes that you make as a guy. And the last thing you want is you make one mistake and she's out of here. Or you make one mistake and it's like, well, that one mistake, that's it, he's done. Because women that that when you build up a woman's interest to where she has very, very high interest, you have a few times where you can mess up and it's only gonna like ding her interest a little bit versus completely getting rid of it. And that because they're gonna give us the benefit of the doubt and say, okay, he messed up this time, interest dips a little bit, but you know what? I still love him, so I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt and just, stick this thing out, and hopefully he'll be able to turn this shit back around, because women ultimately wanna stay in the range of 80 to 90. Like, women hate meeting a great guy, dating him, building a connection, and then he starts doing stuff to mess it up, and it's like she's trying to give all these hints to you to indicate that she still wants to stay in this thing, but these things need to be fixed to get the interest level back up, because she wants to stay in that level. And when you don't, it's a sad journey for her, but the interest starts going down to where you get to that 50% and you're done. Because at the point where it's 50%, it's pretty much like, I could keep him or not. Like, if I find somebody else out there that's good for me, then that's totally fine. But again, I say this because in the early stages of dating, I don't want you to make the mistake of thinking her interest needs to be automatically there. And this is why there's so many guys that also write me that say, it's been 2 or 3 dates, like, should I tell her that I like her? Or, I need to know where she's at because I already have these strong feelings. And it's not a bad thing for a woman to only have a little bit of interest in you by that second or third date. Like, if her interest is like 65 or 70% at the end of that second or third date, that's totally fine, because there are so many other factors that women are looking for when they're doing their analyzing of you that needs to come together to have that 80 to 90%. So that's why I tell you guys, it takes 2 to 3 months for a woman to solidify her feelings, because that first date, yeah, she likes the way you look, she likes the way you smell, she likes the conversation you guys are having, she can feel that you're treating her well, and that's all attractive. But you're thinking, because you did all that stuff on the first and second date, she should now fully like you. But there are other things she's looking for. She's looking for consistency. She's looking to hear more stories about you to try to get an idea of how you've been in the past, to see if that matches up with the person that she's with now. She's waiting to see if any surprises pop out. She's waiting to see if there's any ex-girlfriends that you're maybe still attracted to or attached to that you haven't told her about. She's waiting to see if there's any moment in that first 3 months where you suddenly have an outburst at a waiter, or you push back against her, or show some kind of violence towards her. And so these are other things that are more feelings-based, because she has to feel that she can trust you and that she's going to be safe and secure around you. And that part of the puzzle takes a little bit longer for her to build up. So her interest may only be at 70, 72% as she's trying to find those things out. And then once she's secure that those things are all put together, she realizes she can actually trust you, you've been consistent, you're not that kind of guy that's going to flout the handle, or you're not doing any kind of drugs that are secret in the background. Because I had a friend that married a dude, and then she found out like 3 months into the marriage, he was a secret drug addict. And that's like, that's definitely a killer of attraction, but it's also a sad thing for her, because it's like, crap, I still have high interest knowing the secret, and now, like, do I help him to get help? Do I do whatever? Because I want to keep this intact, and ultimately it didn't work out. So understand that, like, a woman's attraction is based on so many factors that she needs time to make sure all those factors for her are at a level and in a way that she can say, okay, I can finally let loose and let go and be attracted fully to this guy. And at the point where a woman's done her due diligence for you and has actually seen that you really are the guy she can be with, then that interest is going to be extremely high. And even when it's high, it's still on a sliding scale. It'll go between 80 and 90 in any given day, all right? It's not going to be like ours, where we're typically highly interested all the time, So just wanted to give that note out to those guys that are like, well, she either likes me or she doesn't. There is some factor of truth to that, but in the beginning, when you first start dating, that has to build up, and then look at their interest more as a sliding scale that can be changed depending on what's going on in her life and what you're doing, and not so much as either she likes me all the way, or if I do one thing wrong, boom. Because that's the thing too, is that thought process instills fear in every guy. Most guys are like, well, I want to say and do the right thing all the time, because if I do one wrong thing, boom, she's out of here. And it's actually a benefit that women's interest is not like that. Because again, that sliding scale is going to really help you stay in her good graces, even as you're doing things to mess up. But just, you want to make sure that you're not messing up too much. So it's a good way to be able to tell if you've messed up too much, or if you need to fix things to get it back up. All right. Hopefully, guys, this helps you out. For more of these tips, you can go to introvertdatingsuccess.com. You can join the Introvert Dating Success Membership Academy, where I talk about this kind of stuff in more detail. And if you guys have any questions or need one-on-one coaching, go to introvertdatingsuccess.com, click on the coaching tab, and we can set up a one-on-one phone consultation with you today. And of course, guys, February 10th, my friend Nawan's got an album coming out called No Girls For You. It is a hilarious take on dating, relationships, and of course, a guy that's unlucky in love. It's 10 songs, and one of the songs is out right now called Tongue Tied. It's very, very funny, so be sure to check that out on the channel. I'm Harry Wilmington, and I'll catch you guys on the next show. I'm out. Peace.
When I see a hot girl, my tongue gets twirled. I don't know what I'll say. And the next thing I know,